This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded February 10th, 2014. Episode 184. Quixotic, Quitting, Query.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
And only contextual electronics.
And nothing else.
Do tell. Share the big news.
As of, not tomorrow, but as of Friday the 14th, I will be officially self-employed.
Woo!
Woo!
Sticking it to the man, huh?
I suppose. I mean, I don't think the man really has much. Doesn't have me on his radar, so.
Right.
But doing my own thing, that's for sure. Yeah. So I went to my boss and I asked to go part time, and it wasn't. And I was talking to Dave at the time. This Dave here, and he's like,
yep,
"I bet you they'll never let you do it." And I said, "Oh, you're full of crap." And
and was I right?
He was right. Yes, he was
yep,
right.
He came back an hour later, folks. Even though I'm on the other side of the wall, I could see see his head down and tail between his legs, and he came back and said, "Yep, you were right." They didn't want a bar of it.
Right. It wasn't the fact that I didn't have a job anymore. It was the fact that Dave was right. That's the real thing.
Exactly.
That's the real reason for being downtrodden.
Dude, I've been in the industry too long. I've seen it happen. Nah.
Yeah,
Companies
okay.
do not like, as a general rule, they do not like people, working less hours than somebody else, because they think, oh, you're a slacker. You're not fully committed to the company and all that sort of,
Right.
blah, blah. So they would rather let you go. Yeah. Even if you're an important employee, they'd rather let you go than have you slack off, in quote marks, and work part-time.
Yeah. Right, because I know people who've tried that before, too, where they want to go part-time. I think sometimes it's, under special situations it's allowed, but not necessarily when it's just, young, healthy bucks such as myself.
No, exactly. It's like, bugger off. Here's the...
Yeah.
You want to work part-time? Here's a boot up your ass. How'd you get?
Right. Well, and, I went in knowing that, too. Like, so basically this is all based around the fact that, enough people sign up for contextual electronics that it's doing well enough that I feel confident, about it, and some consulting work in the pipeline and everything like that. So basically I said, okay, I know going into this meeting that, if it doesn't work out, that's kind of the known outcome. And and so that was it. And so it wasn't a huge surprise, but it was...
Right.
But yeah, so it is what it is, and now I'm on my own, and I get to do whatever I want to do until the money runs out.
That's it. But contextual electronics, just like me, it's not bringing in enough. You still have to work on the side.
Yeah.
Contract jobs and things.
Yeah, I think really it's just about confidence intervals, right? It's like
of course. Yeah.
There's no way to know if people will sign up again, or if I'll be able to get enough stuff done to get more stuff out there. And so basically, consulting is definitely a thing, but it's interesting stuff too. I mean, like, it's stuff that I've been working on part time anyways. Some small jobs here and there. So it's really just a good mix, and it's like you do with, when you're out on your own, when you don't just have a corporate job, you need multiple income streams, right? That's just
exactly.
How you do it.
To cover your bases, because you don't want to be suddenly left holding an empty bag.
Right, exactly. And I think, I think that's even a good idea. I mean, technically, I guess I had multiple income streams before, just from smaller consulting jobs and stuff like that. And I think it is a good idea to have that. It's nice as a feedback mechanism, that if you're making money, you might be doing some stuff right. Not that that's the only way of measuring, but it can be a nice measure. And then, if something does happen, if this was under worse pretenses, and, like how you basically Altium, packed up and left.
Packed up,
That wasn't a choice.
No job is secure these days. You can bang. Just, you could be out of work tomorrow.
Right. That's interesting too, because, I can't really say that's what ultimately did it, because I've thought about this stuff for a long time, but none of this would have happened if it wasn't for contextual electronics doing okay.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But I think about that though, like thinking about moving, like seeing all these cases of ageism and everything else in the industry as well. Thinking about that going forwards and seeing, is it really realistic to think that a company will take care of you and won't drop you like a bad habit at a at a moment's notice, right?
They always will.
Yeah.
Even the safest company on earth, right? Safest tech company on earth used to be IBM, right? Until they started, they're huge slashers. Now they're going down the toilet and they're just slashing and burning. They're in their death throes, And no, it ultimately happens to every company. No job is safe, and if you absolutely rely on that, then you're living life on the edge.
Yeah,
but
what
they say, if you're living life on the if you're not living life on the edge, you're taking up too much room.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so there's, I have a lot of good role models too, right? Like, I look to you, right? You've got good revenue streams,
multiple income sources. Yeah,
exactly. But also you're frugal, right? I mean, I think that's a big key. I read a lot of personal finance stuff too, and it's like, if you've got high spending habits, you're screwed from the beginning because if you're taking on debt and everything else. And so it's all about having balance in your personal finance and having multiple income streams, all that other stuff. Because like even if you're an engineer earning $120,000 a year, if you're spending 130, you're 10K in the hole each year, right? I mean, like that's you're screwed. So yeah, you got to have those good bases in the first place. And like other people too. Like I talked to Jack Gansel about this stuff, and talked to some other friends who are consulting full time. And so I really do appreciate everyone giving me advice, because I was freaking out there for a while. But I think
he was, folks. I can verify.
But yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
She'll be right, mate. No worries.
Yeah, that's right.
Freaking oath.
Yeah.
And she who must be obeyed. Was she supportive? Because if she's anything like my she who must be obeyed, she married a professional engineer and she expected me to bring home professional engineering wages,
That's correct, right? And much like when you made the jump,
I had to still do consulting work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I believe your she who must be obeyed was not working at the time, correct?
That's right, because she had been off work for a month or two because, it was like 4 weeks before Sagan was born, I think.
That's right.
It was only weeks. Yeah, it was a matter of weeks. Right. So, she was unemployed. And here I was just getting, the arse from Altium. And my only income source was, the blog. So
yeah. Right. Yep. And so my wife is in school right now. She's back in school. And she's being frugal with the school stuff. She's going to community college and everything to finish up that stuff. But that's one less income stream as well. So it's a very similar situation. And but yeah, she was totally behind me. Once I explain myself, of course.
Right. My she who must be obeyed was only behind me once the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the paycheck. So once she realised I was earning enough, oh yes, I support you working on this blog full time now.
Yeah.
It was like, well, and you can't really blame her because look, we've got a new baby on the way, mortgage and everything else, bills to be paid, and
no, that's
scary.
Definitely. Yeah, and I don't have any kids yet, but we're talking about maybe in a couple years having some kids and stuff, and I think about too, like
you heard it here on the Amp Hour first.
Yeah,
folks.
Yes, it is possible. I may procreate, folks. Watch out, world.
That's all we need, more Yanks.
Yeah, seriously, right? Ugh, they keep multiplying.
Yep.
Their huge carbon footprints, their dumb accents. But my dad's a salesman, and so he was away a lot when I was a kid. And I think about that, wanting to be around, and even just work schedules. I look at coworkers and stuff like that. Work schedules these days. That's another thing that's very unpredictable. You might have a job that you're working. You're secure in your job, but you're secure because you're working 50 or 60 hours a week, and it's like,
yeah, exactly.
And that's another thing. It's not like I expect to work any less. I mean, technically, I work like 16-hour days right now because I go to work for 9 to 10 hours and I come home and work for 4 to 5 hours. But
9 to 10, you're doing it wrong, dude.
Well, there's yeah,
travel.
I won't be doing it for long.
No.
But like I just work a lot. I work when I'm at work, and I work when I'm at home,
course.
and
Yeah.
So I don't expect that to change at all. But I want to have some freedom there eventually as well. So got to kind of start working towards that.
Yep. And you'll wonder how you had the time to do it before.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yep. In 2 weeks' time, when we get back on, and you can talk about how, geez, I wonder how I had any time to do all this. I was
going to do all these other projects and everything.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
And,
I remember you making that transition. I remember you talking about that. Yep. So we'll see how I survive that too, because I got I have 2 dogs, well 3 dogs at home right now, and I don't know how I'll survive being at home all day. I'm gonna have to.
Well, you might find you'll get some of your life back, which isn't a bad thing, because burnout, working hard is overrated. I'm telling you.
Well, and I've written about burnout I've definitely had a couple cases of burnout. So far.
This is on your old blog, is it? The old.
Yeah, I wrote about it a couple times on engineer blogs and everything else. All those other blogs that I used to write with all that free spare time.
But you didn't have time to keep them up anymore.
Right. Yeah, that I prioritized away, honestly, for contextual electronics. So.
Right. Yep. Yeah, because you worked bloody hard on that. I mean, if you don't know. Listeners, he was, he'd be messaging me at I know it's like 2 a.m. over there, 2 or 3 a.m. and he's still going and sending me bloody messages, and I'm going, go to bed. Jeez.
Yeah.
Dude. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So, but that's what excites me though too, is so another reason that, the real reason I did this, decided to finally go talk to my boss and see if this is a possibility, is one, because I have a potential, I'm working on some stuff with a friend, and that I think I mentioned on here with the motor stuff. That's a potential thing that I'm really excited about. But then also like not being able, I have these great people in contextual electronics, and it's like I just didn't feel like I was there enough.
Giving them
even
enough,
though
right? Yeah.
And I'm caught up with everything, but it feels like I'm kind of starting to drown a little bit, and I have to start making videos for the future or two. And so I am excited though about the prospect of being able to make videos like all day long. Assume I know the other stuff will get in the way as well, but
of course.
But I just think about what else is possible when I'm not at work doing work. Right, I was doing work at work, and just having an extra chunk of time to do my work, and so that's actually really exciting.
Well, as I said back when you told me you were marching off to see the boss,
yeah, right.
And I said I hope they don't let you stay on, and I meant that sincerely, because going half-ass and hedging your bets. Oh, look, I'll work part-time here. No, that, trust me, that would not have been a good thing. So I'm glad they gave you the arse.
Right.
There you go. In the sincerest way.
No, I agree. Looking back now, I agree. But it's tough at the time, right? I mean, even still, I still can kind of feel that.
Of course, yeah.
I'm still shaky about it, right? I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, it's easier when the decisions are made for you, right? When you walk in there and as you said, you weren't really unhappy, right? You sort of expect, right? Oh, they've sacked me. The decision's easy.
Right.
It's done. It's made. Right. End of story.
Yeah, at that point, but getting that first step into the office is kind of tough,
Oh, the first step. Yeah, exactly. But after that, right? The decision. It's easier when the decision's made. So people cry their eyes out when they get the ask from their job. They get made redundant or whatever, and they bawl their eyes out for a week, and it's like, no, it's why? It's an opportunity for you to move on and change direction, or change is as good as a holiday.
Yeah.
So never look back.
Change is as good as a holiday. I have heard that a couple times.
You have?
Yeah.
And
you say it all the time.
So yeah. So don't cry if you lose your job, folks, because it's really your next job will be better. Trust me, they're doing you a favour.
Yeah.
Well, no, I can't say that because what's happened in, let's go to some local news, straight off the teletype here in Australia. As of 2017, we no longer have any car manufacturing industry here. Gone. Completely gone. Holden, Holden, who's the traditional Australian, company. Ford and now Toyota just yesterday announced that they're pulling out. So, so they're the three companies who are manufacturing cars here in Australia, and they've all pulled out.
Really?
There will not be a single car made in Australia after 2017. Yep. And that's
so
shit because
be made in Asia or what?
Every car will be imported wherever, Europe, Asia, wherever, because the government refused to step in and stop it happening. And, a lot of people will say, well, can't have that, can't have the government interfering. Well, look, something like car manufacturing is big, heavy, automated industry, right? There's lots of flow-ons. The Toyota announcement, for example, I'm not sure how many people worked at Toyota, but all the other industries which then were supplying parts and services and everything else to Toyota, there's overall it's 50,000 jobs gone, at least.
Yeah.
It's huge for a company, for a country that's only got, I'm not sure how many workers in Australia, probably 10 million or something, That's quite a big chunk.
Yeah, 20 million
and
people,
I think actually between all three companies, it's probably 100,000 plus people who will be out of work in some way, shape or form because the auto industry's gone. And it's just, man.
So this is an interesting comparison too, because this is something that the U.S. did intervene on during the financial crisis.
Yes.
Where they stepped in, they took over GM.
So did our previous government, actually. Yep, they did.
Oh, okay.
They did. Our previous government did actually put some money in. Holden at the time were the first to announce that they were, I think it was Holden, maybe Ford, I don't know, but they announced that they were, they're going to have to shut their doors, we're in financial trouble, and the government did step in and help them out in some way. But ultimately, no, they're gone now.
Yeah.
And the current government, of course, doesn't want a bar of it. Yep.
Yeah,
because
well, it's interesting, living in Ohio, right? This is a very big deal, at least in Ohio, when car stuff gets affected, and you talk about the add-on stuff. That stuff is really apparent. First off, I still have shells of these huge manufacturing plants around where I live. I mean, it's a big deal when they shut down.
Factories,
it's
yeah.
But then all the machine shops and everything else that adds on, it can really ripple through. And so what was their stated reason? It was they didn't want to give concessions, or what was it?
There were 4 reasons. I think I'm going from memory here. Tariffs, import tariffs. So that's government stuff, right? So they weren't. I don't know exactly how it all worked, but something to do with import tariffs. And something else, and the cost of the current weak Australian dollar was a problem, or something like that, So the Australian, higher than average wages, but that's never been an excuse, higher than average wages here at Australia, because we do pay pretty well here.
Australia.
That's never the main excuse. The main excuse is that the government weren't really supporting. They just couldn't compete with the imports. Basically, that's what they're, That's what they're saying. And so, it pretty much comes down to, the government not helping them out. That's, not supporting the auto industry.
Well, I think it's a bigger question, too, about, this is increasingly interesting to me because automotive manufacturing is a really good example of local manufacturing that can really have a big impact because of the shipping costs and everything like that, right? I mean, you're still shipping in raw components, but these days, I mean, we saw that Tesla video a while back. These car manufacturing plants are so incredibly roboticized that it's just why wouldn't you? This is it's heavy industry, but it's heavy robotic industries these days. So I don't quite understand that. It seems like that's more. Obviously, there's lots of politics.
And there's not a huge difference between setting up an automated factory locally or in Japan or Europe or wherever, right? It's a similar cost to set up the factory anywhere in the world. So, why not do it local and save all that, stuff? And we've been manufacturing cars here for 60 years. non-stop for 60 years, and it's all going to end 2017 because of our short-sighted government. And
that is quite
there's
short-sighted.
There's a lot of people out there that said, no company should be too big to fail. And I agree. Like, I thought those banks should have collapsed, right? I thought they should have let them freaking collapse, right? Shouldn't have given them money.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Because that's not industry. Industry's a different thing. There's so many, keeping people's skill bases and everything else, so many ancillary jobs and markets that tie into it. It's, you can't let whole industries fail. It's just...
Well, no, I don't know if I agree with that either, though. But I think, I think that's an interesting point about the skill side of things, though, too. Like, because you think about that stuff going away, right? You have a 50-year-old machinist who then goes and retrains for some other industry. He's never coming back, right? So that means this is a very, very long-term decision, because we've seen this in manufacturing across the states as well. You start to lose that base of knowledgeable people. Yeah, sure, you might have some people that are still specialized. Like in the States, a lot of people are specialized still with, like electronics, right? A lot of the high-end stuff sticks around for military type stuff that needs to be stateside. But that doesn't scale then. Like, you can't just go and bring stuff back. People talk about like the Shenzhen markets, right? And like all of the how much concentration of the skills that are there now, right? And the marketplaces that are there. That's going to be, like that is a resource in itself. It's not like you could just go and say, oh, well, we're going to start a market in Cleveland tomorrow. It's not like there's just not that skill set there. There's not that critical mass of people and or materials and or, need. And
another classic example is the space industry, right? How America's pretty much, shut down its manned space program, and it's like... Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, fail. That's just the absolute wrong thing to do. And while I don't support propping up private companies and that, to let entire industries fail is just in smallish countries like ours, right? Is just it's suicidal. It really is. Yeah. It's just dumb.
It's tough. So, it's tough when it's these big decisions too that hit such visible things that can affect all of us outside of it like that, right? I mean, like, think about, like, I think about your old job where you were doing, like, test jigs and stuff like that, right? I mean, like, how is someone designing test jigs, affected by that? It's like, there's just no control over that kind of thing with these high-level decisions. So that is tough. That stinks.
It does. So,
speaking of Shenzhen, though, if people are interested in going there, before the Maker Faire Shenzhen, which is coming up in April, Ian from Dangerous Prototypes, and I think Bunny, and I think Zach Hoken-Smith, and a couple other people are doing a really, really awesome workshop. Did you see this thing?
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so basically, you get over there, you get tours around and stuff, but then you actually sit with people at the ones who like can like do reflow on cell phones and like do like this high precision soldering stuff. They're actually going to have classes with these people, and obviously you get all the cultural side of things too. You get all the good food and everything like that. But this looks like a really interesting thing. Actually going and sitting with people and learning how to like reballing FPGAs, right? Or not FPGAs,
I'd love
but BGA parts.
Yeah. And it's
really
probably
cool.
not going to be mil-spec training, folks. It's going to be Shenzhen market training. Just get the job done with the lowest cost tool possible. And just a buttload of experience.
Yeah,
yeah, I love it.
And it might be grunty, but it'll be like it'll be like guerrilla training effectively. Yeah, exactly.
And it's what does it cost? $250 for 3 days or something? It's worth every cent. Man.
Oh yeah.
It's
$250 for the workshop itself, and then the rest of the low cost stuff.
And you get goodies and PCBs thrown
more money. Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna spend more money at the market itself, probably
at the market
if you're there
itself.
Yeah, around.
Exactly. No, that's a bargain.
Have you been there or no?
No. I've only been to Shanghai. markets and the Singapore markets.
So I've been thinking. So now that I'm on my own too, I've been thinking about travel more and maybe doing like touring and doing classes around the area, like in different
Blowing
areas.
All that
and doing
money you don't have, huh?
Well, I would be teaching, so there would be
right. Okay.
a reason to go. But I was thinking, somewhere maybe like in Shenzhen, maybe we can meet up there and breathe in pollution and go tour on the market.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, travel is expensive these days.
Yeah, travel is not cheap.
Is it ever?
It's not cheap at all. Yep.
Yeah.
But if you can get there, folks, do it.
It does.
That's an absolute
It does seem
bargain.
like a good one. And I'm glad too. Ian seemed like he went dark on Dangerous Prototypes for a while, but I got an email from him a while back, so he is alive and well, and so I was glad to see that too. But yeah,
Excellent.
So Dangerous Prototypes is picking back up now. So yeah,
and the other thing that talking about how shutting up an industry in a country can cause issues. How about shutting down one company in one small town? If that ever happened,
I know you're trying to do.
I'm not saying it is. This is not news here. I'm trying to do an awful segue into DigiKey.
I was going to say I know you're doing a segue. I just can't tell what it is. I'm looking at the list here.
Right. Because
Motorola?
DigiKey.
Oh, DigiKey.
DigiKey, dude, in Firth River Falls. Tiny little tin pot town.
That's where they are.
Have you seen
Yes,
this?
that's correct.
Right?
No,
yeah. Well, it's a town of 10,000, right? And 2,500 people work at DigiKey.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I know.
didn't know it was that
It's
many.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Yep, and they're desperately short of people. They would hire hundreds and more overnight, bang, like that, if they could. They just can't get enough people.
But why?
Anyway, there's a great... yeah, I know. Because they're in the middle of bloody nowhere. They have to bus them in from nearby towns. They've got, they run their own shuttle buses to bring people in. Yeah, exactly. Because they can't get enough people.
Wow.
And anyway, there's this excellent article and behind-the-scenes photo tour of what happens inside DigiKey, and it's just great. It's just terrific.
I didn't actually get a chance to look at this yet. Oh, it was on Spectrum. Nice. But
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at this yet, but man,
it's great. The photos are excellent, and and they talked to the CEO, and the CEO said, if we were going to build a company like DigiKey, this is the worst possible place to put it because there's no major airport, there's no transport infrastructure, we're miles from bloody anywhere, and they have to have their own fleet of DHL and FedEx and all the other trucks and everything else to come in, and it's just from a hub point of view and the amount of business that they do shipping stuff, it's just it's a horrible place to build a company, but that's where they started, and they just make do.
Origins do have a way of holding on there, so that's and that's interesting. It's interesting when you look at the whole spectrum of electronics companies that are out there too. A lot of them are just straight logistics companies to start with. Eventually as they start they start to get their logistics all sorted out, then they move into other stuff like DigiKey these days. They have training modules, they have lots of good resources for people in addition to just selling a crap ton of parts. But first and foremost, they and many others are logistics companies. So it is kind of shocking that it's
it's in the middle of bloody nowhere. Yeah, exactly. But they managed to make it work. So
I know. I wish they would sign. I wish they would put in little stickers so I knew who was had to cut off a single part off a reel.
Yeah, a little sticker of a little person's photo, right? The photo of the person who actually packed it. They could have a reel of their own little head, and they could stick their little head on it, their smiling face. That'd be great.
That would be great.
I'm going to suggest this right after this. I'm going on Twitter and I'm going to suggest it.
Okay, there we go. DigiKey face stickers.
Yeah.
I would gladly pay 0.0005% or 5 cent more per resistor in order to get a face sticker.
A face sticker, of the person who actually packed it. Yeah. It's funny. Great. And it's not as automated as you think. There's people sitting there at desks and they're manually, doing all this stuff. It's, So
God,
yeah,
that'd be
like there's some
terrible.
automation in terms of like they have these, carts which go around the factory. They actually call them mouse carts. I think that's a cheap shot at Mouser, It's like, and but it's not as automated. I pictured big automated pick and place machines, in huge big, aisles and these automated robots go up and pull the box down for you. But no, they're just shelves. People walk down the aisles and pull them out and
Yeah, I don't know. I think about that Kiva systems, the one that Amazon bought. Did you ever see those robots?
No, what's that?
So that's basically like they're these. It's actually like logistics is actually a great platform for robotics. I think that's going to be.
Oh yeah, it is.
Like you were just talking about, automation seems to fit in there really well.
Yeah.
So Kiva, they have these little orange robots that are actually pretty strong, but basically they're pretty squat. They're only like maybe like half a meter, like 1.5 feet off the ground at total height, but they're pretty wide. And what they do is they get underneath like a shelf, and then they spin.
Oh, right.
And then they basically they kind of like jack themselves up, and they basically pick up the shelf like that. But they have a low enough center of gravity and then they take the entire shelf over to someone standing in place, and it says, "Okay,
brilliant.
here's your shelf. It's shelf 1 of this. Grab it off there." And then it takes the shelf back. Has a queuing system, has a recharge system, and
that's what
Amazon.
I expected a DigiKey. Right,
Well,
that's the same thing. Like I expected them to at least a robot to go and pull a box off the shelf that had that part, and then it comes back to the operator. But no, the packer goes to the shelf and gets it.
Well, it's not an easy problem. I mean, humans are very, very advanced robots. I mean, it is hard to for what you need to pay someone in like ham sandwiches in the cafeteria and a decent living wage. Like, it is hard to replicate that ability, right? I mean, it's just not easy. And like we were talking last week, right? Meat controllers, right? It's like that is a hard thing to do.
That's right.
And and so like getting that kind of sophistication of robot, you really do need to have a pretty large outlay of initial cash in order to build something that crazy. I mean, you think about even stuff that like Boston Dynamics, now Google, is doing, right? I mean, with like super tactile robots like that. First off, it's overkill, and second off, but it's like there's some weird middle ground between, do you need a hand to grab a reel of resistors, or can you use a claw? And if you can use a claw, what are you trading off? And do you need vision and all these other weird things?
That's why it's like I expected, it'd be much simpler. Just bring the box over, and then the human, takes it out of the box, kind of, because otherwise it's too tricky, to a claw to get in there and pull out that. No, it's easier just to, like the Amazon thing, just transport the whole thing, and then sort of, Yeah,
well, I think Kiva was brilliant in that regard, because you basically you're going piecemeal at that point, right? And eventually they'll have a robot that just sits there and just picks things off. But for now, it's like, the meat controller does pretty well. Get that meat controller, pair of Google Glass.
Right. So anyway, I don't think there's a single unemployed person in the town of Feith River Falls. You just,
right.
Add to that, you would have to do it. You would have to do it by choice, because DigiKey will just hire anyone.
Yeah, and right next to Thief River is right near North Dakota, and North Dakota has like near zero unemployment because of the shale gas boom, basically.
Oh,
like they
really? Okay.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Like basically, you go to like a Walmart and like they're sold out on shelves and stuff. It's kind of insane. So like there's like a gold rush going on in the upper plains of the states.
In them there hills.
There's no hills at all. I guarantee you that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Crazy times we're living in here, man. Crazy times.
What's this about Texas Instruments are laying off people?
Yeah, basically it's not just TI. Basically Intel, TI, or
IBM,
Intel,
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Right,
IBM's no surprise. Yeah, but TI, that's a bit.
Well, not really though.
What type of people are they laying off?
Well, remember they merged with like National, so they had like a lot of overlap there.
Yeah.
And, I don't really know too many of the details. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, it's just big companies are big, right? That's kind of the message there, and it's tough when you have bean counters that are also going over the numbers and being like, oh, we have too many people and we can just make people do other people's jobs. So I think that's
right.
That's how I'm reading it, at least. It's probably much more intricate than that, but yeah. I don't think TI is like going on the toilet or anything like that. They're
they're just consolidating because there was huge overlap there with National. So,
I guarantee you one thing, though. They're probably not letting go many of the chip designers.
Right.
Like, talk about high demand stuff. I mean, no. They don't let them go unless they have to, unless they absolutely have to. Because you talk about a skill that doesn't come back. Yeah. This is chip design.
There you go.
What about your stuff from this week? I saw you were doing some precision current source stuff. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'm doing precision current source stuff. There's another video which it's like a 3-parter, really.
3-parter?
3-part mini-series, yeah. I've done another one which I'm just about to upload. And, yeah, I did a precision 1 amp current source and a precision 1 milliamp and 1 microamp current source as well. So I've done a couple of videos on those. And guess what they're used for?
Are they used for testing something?
Perhaps.
Yes. Okay. Is this going to be a future purchasable item, or?
I had ideas about doing a little micro reference. I was little micro reference I was going to call it, and it was going to be like a universal multimeter reference thing, voltage, current, resistance, that kind of thing. But no, I thought, look, I've got to do these test jigs anyway. Why not make it universal and then make it for sale? And there's just too many trade-offs and things like that. You've got to design the right tool for the job. So if I spend all that effort trying to design like a universal tool, universal useful gadget that I could sell, then it's not really optimized for my use on testing.
Right.
So and it takes too long. And I want something now, so I just want to slap something together for use for my testing, and then I can take my time to develop something properly for a saleable product.
Yeah,
perhaps.
That's a good point, because you don't need to think about all of the different variables input then.
Exactly.
You just need to think about that one very specific application.
That
you're
one
not going
very
to have
specific thing. That's
over voltage events or anything crazy like that. You just have to crank out an amp or whatever it is at the time.
Exactly. And then you don't have to worry about range switching and all the other stuff like user interface stuff which goes in, can I just have jumper links, or do I need some fancy digital switch?
What's the user interface on the microcurrent? The switch?
Plug in battery. It works. That's the user interface. LED comes on.
All right, yes.
I'm going to spring for a fancy low battery detect LED.
Nice.
But that's the extent of it. So,
Well, no, because I noticed your video. I was like looking at it. I'm like, oh, well, geez. So this is actually what I put on the Bench Buddy to do current
That's
output.
right. You mentioned it was very similar, right?
Yeah. So it's definitely not going to be.
It's just a standard low. It's just a standard low side current sync.
Exactly.
Really,
Right. And another thing is, it's actually like a lot of people that like your videos like the dynamic low or the. Not the precision
current
load?
That's been massively popular.
Right, and I guess it's adjustable, right? So I mean, it's basically it's a revision on that. You basically pull off different points. You kind of push it out to the field, and you can put a resistor out there. But then, that's basically now you're just creating your own current versus accepting someone else's current. And that's good. So that's actually on the Bench Buddy as well, and
right. Did you go into details on how to, optimize for loop stability and stuff like that? Did you go that deep? Because that's a tricky subject.
It is a really tricky subject. No, so basically that's going to be the empirical side of things.
Right.
Here's a space for a cap, and let's try some different caps. Because that's a realistic thing, right? I mean,
it is.
It's not a perfect thing, right? And you can definitely get burned by that, because if you have a magical cap value where you lick your finger and you put another finger in your ear and you touch the board in a certain spot and it works, that's a bad situation.
That's it.
But if the other option is just to slow everything way the hell down, right? That's
right.
more than likely going to be the result there.
case. Well, that's the thing. That's another reason why the difference between designing my one-off test jig and designing a universal product, right? With the universal product, I don't know what the load's going to be. You know, what the user, it could be massively inductive, could be massively capacitive, right? You just don't know. It's got to work over a massive range, whereas my one, just for my test, I know what my load of my device under test is going to be.
Exactly.
So I can just pick a value, whack it in, make it work, and be 100% confident that it's going to work.
Yeah.
You know, because I've only got, you know, it's a limited load, you know, it's designed for one specific application. That's it.
Right. Well, I mean, so back in Keithley days, that's like one of the big things when you're doing like source meter stuff. I mean, that stuff is really important especially with current, right? Because the thing that a lot of people don't realize, like, oh, okay, current is really straightforward. It's like, no, actually it's not, because, you know, if you're using like a voltage sense feedback, then, you know, you have basically, there can be these huge delays based on inductive and capacitive loads like you're talking about. And basically, that starts throwing everything into crazy town. So you need to have different modes and different. It is a total mess. So,
and people keep asking, oh, why don't I just do a video on how to stabilize a loop like that? And well, it ain't that easy. Yeah, exactly. You have I would have if I could think of a nice sort of universal and sort of easy way to sort of explain it and make it come across. But even then, it's going to be application specific.
Definitely.
You know, and like, so what do? It always goes into the too hard basket, I'm afraid, just like you found. You know, you're going to do it empirically. So, because, well, you know, because it's a valid way to do it, and it's the easy.
Yeah, I think it's realistic. Well. I mean, that's just how it happens sometimes. Yeah, you just tune it up and you see, well, what do you want to support? And then you say, okay, well, this thing works out to 10K, and if you use it past that, you're on your own, buddy.
and even the best in the industry do that. You know, your Bob Peases and your, you know, and whatnot, right? They're all, you know, they will sit, you know, they'll build up a circuit and they'll go, it's oscillating, damn it. You know, so Jim Williams will go through his big pile of crap on the bell. Here's a 10 nanofarad cap, I'll whack that in there, that'll fix it, right? Yeah. And that's the solution, right?
Yep,
and the best guys in the industry do that.
Yep.
You know,
it's not. And that's a reason to have a reel of through-hole 10 nanofarad caps around too. Actually,
right?
because you're not allowed to cut your finger off and just duct tape it to the board.
your wet finger. You know.
Yeah, you only get to do that 10 times. Maybe another 10, depending how stable you are on your feet.
I love it.
Yeah.
Empirical engineering. Can we call this episode empirical engineering?
Maybe. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's E&E, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Empirical engineering exploits.
There you go. I'll write that down. Empirical. I might ignore it, but.
Right. Yeah. Well.
I don't let Dave name episodes that often very much anymore.
No,
usually it's
I haven't. Yeah, we used to always, at the end of the show, we'd sit around for like an hour trying to figure out a name. Yeah. I know, and it's ridiculous. So now it's like, no, I just leave it up to Chris. He picks some name, and I don't even know what the name is. You know, I don't even listen to the episode after it's put together. You know.
Yeah, it's a logolepsy dictatorship here, right? So,
right.
So speaking of test equipment, do we want to? Are we allowed to talk about that? No. Yes.
What? The new
the little slip up, little slip.
Little slip up. What?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the new tech thing?
Yeah.
Tech are releasing a new scope.
Yay!
Hallelujah! Hallelujah! And yes, I've announced that I am getting one. I'm allowed to say that I'm getting one before it's released. It comes out on the 28th of February or something. I don't know, end of 24th or something.
Yeah.
And it's the new mixed domain MDO 3000.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know much about it. Don't know a huge lot. And so, but it's built-in spectrum analyzer. It's like their 4000, but it's cut back. So, Yeah. So I hope it's not as slow as the 4000. I hope it still has the same. But there's a few things that make me a bit concerned about it, but I'll reserve my judgment until I actually play with it.
Yeah, I guess that's best to have that in hand and everything. So that's,
I found the info. Like if they want to keep their secrets, they should hide their info better. Because like people ask me, how did I find this pre-release info? Like this was before that they emailed me and said, look, we'll send you one for review, and
right.
I saw it on Twitter. Their feed, somebody posted it on Twitter, and like, big announcement. Here's this, countdown, 30 days until this new oscilloscope comes out. And I thought, it looks like a mixed domain oscilloscope. Looks like the 4000. How can I find some info on this? Well, big-ass companies like this usually are pretty predictable, so they'll stick with their model number sequence in. So, it looks like it's a lower price bracket. They did an MDO 4000. I think it's going to be called the MDO 3000. So I typed that into Google, and the first hit was their confidential marketing document in Google's cache.
Yeah. You know what, though?
And it's like,
I was thinking about this, right? And I was thinking, at first I was like, I bet they're pissed about this. And then I thought more about it, and I'm like, you couldn't buy better marketing than that, right?
Exactly.
Like they have a contest going, but okay, so maybe the secret slipped out a little bit. Who cares? I mean, it's coming out eventually.
Exactly.
And it's like people are talking about it before you even released what the hell it is. That's a good sign. And so I mean, I thought that was better, to be honest. But
from their photo it was obvious. It had a spectrum analyzer built in. You knew it had 6 instruments in one, which is a wank, by the way.
That's total wank. Oh my god. Yeah,
because one's a protocol analyzer. Woohoo, SPID code. They call that an instrument in one. Give me a break. Anyway, it does have it was obvious it had the spectrum analyzer in. It was obvious it was made for a lower price point market. So obviously it was replacing the DPO 3000 series. It was like you knew pretty much all you wanted to know about it,
So did you know that the old tech scopes are actually 6-in-1 as well? So the 465, it's actually, so it's a scope. It's also a paperweight. It's also
a paperweight.
It's a space heater.
It's a piece of pornography.
Yeah, exactly. It's also, if you stare at the screen long enough, it's a persistence vision eyeball modifier, right? What else? And it's a reliable lead source. Was that 6? I don't know. But 6-in-1 is a bit of a wank. Yep. But who cares? The exciting thing about it, I think, I really do like that idea though about the 4000. I was out at Tech.
The 4000 is very impressive. It's how it integrates all the spectrum analyzer capability. It's really powerful.
Right.
It's incredibly powerful. But that's my concern, is that I've from reading into this, I don't think the 3000 has nearly the same capability as the 4000 in terms of cross, trigger, sampling.
Yeah.
Well, it says it doesn't sample at the same time. That concerns me, So, but anyway, I'll reserve judgment until I actually get one and test it. So,
we'll see. Yeah, I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, we'll see.
But bring it up.
Oh, boy. Anyway, it's good to see Tech back into the business. But they obviously do think that. This is not a prices have been revealed, and this is not a low cost scope. It's cheaper than the 4000, but it's not a sub $1,000 entry level, or it's a real mid-level scope, and it's a mid-level price to match. And one thing I didn't like that they're doing is that, right, the spectrum analyzer's built in, right, it's software upgradable, so it's capable of doing the 1.5 gig or whatever built in, or 3 gig, sorry. And if you buy the 100 megahertz model, your spectrum analyzer is only 100 megahertz,
which is
software limited,
worthless, right? It's
well, no, you can use it for switch mode power supply stuff, right? It'll be handy for that, but for doing RF stuff, no. Unless you happen to be working at RF below 100 megahertz, And
how often do you pull out a spectrum analyzer when you're doing switch mode stuff, though? I mean, unless you're really in a bind. I don't know.
No, that can be handy for,
no doubt, but I'm just saying, You're not going to buy it just like if you're just a power supply designer, you're not going to have that
EMC
just for
compliance stuff. EMC
definitely for
compliance,
EMC. I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, EMC because you've got a switch mode in there. All right, it's going to be spewing out the stuff, right?
But do you need that time domain correlated at that point either, though? I mean, like I don't think that.
I don't know. No. It could certainly be because your processor could be switching into a different mode that causes, increased current or whatever on your PSU, and that translates to conducting more conducted emissions, and you fail the requirement. So,
See,
who
but the
knows?
thing,
I think
maybe.
it could be.
I don't know, but like with
I think it could be. I think you're not imaginative enough there. I think it could be.
Story of my life, man.
But it's certainly the point I'm making is that it's not RF. It's like RF to the RF folks is like gigahertz range, right?
Right.
And that's what you sort of expect a spectrum analyzer to be. You expect it to be into the gigahertz.
Yeah.
Software limited to 100 megahertz. I don't know. I think that was a bad marketing choice, personally. But,
they can always revise it, right?
The thing is, Tektronix's advantage is that nobody else on the market has mixed domain, right?
Right. Yep.
It's purely, pun coming, it's purely the domain of Tektronix. Okay? So, yeah. So they've got a big, that's a huge advantage in their favour. And whether or not the other manufacturers think that mixed domain is important enough to, go down that route, only time will tell.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mean Agilent? I mean Keysight?
Agilent, yeah. Who the hell are they this week? Yeah. Bloody Keysight.
Keysight.
Oh, dear. Yeah. No. Fail.
So how about a little Kickstarter update here? How's that all going? Since
just before the show, actually, just before the show, I shot a little video, a screen capture video, sort of like behind the scenes of how I managed the Kickstarter project. So I show you what options are available to a Kickstarter project creator. So I actually go to my login and I actually made a survey, sent out the survey to my backers asking for their addresses and stuff like that. So I actually did a video showing behind the scenes that you wouldn't ordinarily get to see unless you've actually done a Kickstarter project, unless you've actually started one and then you have access to the behind the scenes stuff. So
right, yeah, because if you don't know anyone who's already done one, right?
Well, I haven't checked if anyone's already done a video like that. I don't know. Maybe there's 10,000 videos out there. Who knows? Okay. But
Yeah. Well, anyway. It's good though. It's good to have the Jones spin on it.
No.
So.
Yeah. No, I just got my board. I've got 200 boards back from my assembler. And also sitting at home right now are the rest of the parts for at least another 1,000 units, so I can ship those off to the assembler and go ahead and do that. The assembler had a few hiccups, because they just by coincidence they just got a brand new machine, So
right, that's going to have all the usual stuff. Yeah,
it's going to have all the usual learning curve and everything, and of course, the Maxim parts I have the little 6-pin SOT 23s, right? Because they're 6-pin, you can put them in either orientation, and you don't realise, right? And the markings are almost impossible to see unless you check under a microscope. And so their machine had a rotational setting, something for that SOT 23, right, part, and they used it, and it turned out to be backwards because Maxim apparently put them in the reels different to what other manufacturers do or something like that. I don't know the exact details. And sure enough, the chips went in backwards, and they had to but they spotted the problem and they fixed it, and there are a few little issues like that. But
you didn't figure that out on your own.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but generally, it's got the few little hiccups that you expect because I haven't used this assembler before and they haven't done the product before and they're using a brand new machine. So expect all these hiccups. But now they've ironed it out in this first small run of 200 boards. Then now when they go run the 1,800 boards through, right, we shouldn't have any problems because the machine's already set up, so as long as they don't put the wrong reel in the wrong location, everything should be sweet. So
That's good. Yeah, so that's like a pilot run.
Generally happy.
You said that was 200 boards?
Yeah, it was a small pilot run. The 200 boards for the 200 backers, yep. So.
Huh. That's good.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah. Manufacturing. Oh, that never gets any easier.
Right. No, it doesn't.
Well, maybe eventually.
It's tricky business. Well,
we'll see.
Well, I am now, almost. I passed all the hurdles. I am now my own mailing house.
What does that mean?
You may ask how. I now have.
How?
I went through all the hoops with the Australia Post. I went through all the hoops to get a proper shipping business account with them, and there were a lot of hoops. Let me tell you, the bureaucracy was incredible. But now I get access to the same shipping prices and the same systems that my big mailing house had. So now, look out! I'm going into the mail order business.
Yeah, you're a logistics guy now.
I'm a logistics guy, but there you go. But no, but the thing is, right? I can skip the mailing house altogether, right? I can either pack and ship them myself, or I can get my assembler, who we're going to talk to get them to test and pack everything, right? Because I'm going to ship them the test jigs and the procedures and everything else. This is the plan anyway. Yeah. And then they will test them, then they will pack them, and then they will, stuff them in the padded envelopes, and then I will print out, because I have access to the Australia Post system, I will just print out the labels, the shipping labels, and I'll ship those to the assembler, and the assembler will whack on the labels and, out it goes. So I can
you're basically turning them into like a drop shipper at that point, right? I mean, that's effectively what they're
almost like a drop shipper, yeah. And if I'm not going to sell another 2,000 of these I'm not going to manufacture another 2,000 anytime soon. But if I did, right, I would get all the parts shipped directly to them instead of to me. There's no double handling, all I've got to do is print out the mailing labels. Or I could get them to do that as well if I gave them access to my account.
Yeah, right. If you give them the account number. Yeah.
No, right. Yeah. No, but I like making sure all the address data is all okay, and it doesn't take much time at all to suck in, the address data into a database and then, print some labels out. It's it's pretty easy. So, yeah, I just do like to make sure that part of it's right. Yeah. No, I like it. So, but I still don't have access to the system. Wait, ask away.
Okay, so what about so this is what I wonder about, now that I'm looking at going into business for myself, right? So how do you handle like the capital outlay? Because that's a lot of parts, right? I mean, could you give me a range of how much that was? I know that you got paid up front from the Kickstarter stuff, but I'm always curious about that kind of stuff. It's like, if I was bootstrapping without Kickstarter.
No, we're talking $40,000 plus here. It's not, it's a lot of money. Oh yeah,
okay,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay,
right. Oh well, because I'm making
people
more.
Talk about
right?
cash flow.
I'm making 2,000. Right, whereas I only had 1,200 backers, right? So technically I only have to make, but then, I've been through this before and I'm smart enough to know that people are going to want these after the campaign, right? I'm going to, ship a couple of hundred to Adafruit, right? They've ordered in 200 quantities before, right? So I know I'm going to easily ship, 200 to Adafruit and my other distributors and some myself to sell. So I thought 2,000, nice round number, right? So, hey, I got enough money from the campaign. I'll make 2,000 units. And, it costs, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. These parts aren't cheap. I'm not buying these from the Shenzhen
40%
market.
Less, right? Right, yeah. I mean, you said 40 grand. I mean, even at 40% less off of that, that's still $24,000 or $25,000 bucks. Well, that's a lot of dough.
No, it's a lot of dough. And I had to start ordering parts before the Kickstarter, because the disadvantage with Kickstarter as opposed to Possible, the Australian one, right, with Possible, when I did the ruler, as soon as I met my target, the money started rolling into my PayPal account, right? This is before the campaign even ended, right? So I had the money. Before the campaign even ended, I had the money to start manufacturing the boards and buying the envelopes and everything else, right? But not with Kickstarter. No, you've got to wait until the campaign ends. Then you've got to wait 2 weeks. They put the money on hold for 2 weeks, and then it comes through. So, that's why all these projects are late, because some people can't afford to buy parts up front, and sort of take that risk.
Right, well, I think about the ones where they end up sending parts to some, assembler in China, and then they disappear into the night, like those kind of situations. That's what gives me the cold sweats. That's just bad business in the first place, but...
Well, no, that's... Well, I made the commitment to, use all genuine parts and have them assembled here in Australia, it costs more, right? I could have gone to the deepest, darkest parts of Alibaba, right, and tried to, but you end up with fake parts. And when you're talking about precision parts like this, it just doesn't cut it, It doesn't cut it. Right. So...
Yeah, you don't want to pay C-grade prices and think you're getting A-grade, and then you're you're actually getting a different part entirely.
I went through at least half a dozen different manufacturers of those gold binding posts, right? I ordered these things from everywhere, trying to find the right one that I liked, that was decent quality, that worked, right? And, it took a lot of effort to find that. But, anyway, so, this is why I... am probably the only Kickstarter hardware campaign in history that has shipped on the very first day that the money came through. The money came through on the 15th of December. I shipped my first units on the 15th of December to my backers. Yes! Because I made the commitment to I bought, several hundred parts at least. Some of them were full reels of 3,000-4,000 parts. But I spent a lot of money before the money ever came into my account. So, yep.
Yeah, man.
So that money came out of my home loan. I mean, it's
right. Yeah. Dave almost lost his house, folks.
But I knew, I'd already met my goal on Kickstarter, right? I knew the money was coming through. Yeah. Right? So it was zero risk basically, unless Kickstarter folded, right? So,
yeah. Even then, Amazon would probably give you the money. Maybe.
Well,
maybe
it
not.
wasn't Amazon. It's because I'm in Australia, it's not Amazon Payments. It's some other third-party mob.
Okay.
Yeah. So, there you go.
I was talking to a coworker the other day about this, and, we were talking kind of about, like manufacturing in the States and everything else. And I think I've said it on here before, but it's like, after you get past all the romanticization of making stuff and, it's great to have local manufacturing. Manufacturing is shitty. Like, as much as I enjoy it, and as much as it has provided me, food on my table and work and everything else, and it will continue to, it is a bad process. Like, it is not fun, and that's why
you give it to someone else.
That if you can, and the ones who do it well, that's why you pay more, right? I mean, that's why you pay premiums for good, fast service, and that's why you pay your engineers to double and triple check their work. Like, that is just because it is. Oh man, especially hardware. Ugh.
Yep, exactly. But that doesn't mean you have to go to China. I mean,
Oh, I agree, and I think even less so. We talked about car stuff at the top of this show, but I think with pick and place machines, like that is a very common robot, right? People don't think about pick and place machines as robots, but they are. They're robots.
Totally
vacuum robots, and they are probably one of the more common ones that are available to lay people like you and I. And
you can buy one on eBay for $10,000. 10 grand. You can buy a second hand.
Look at Ryan O'Hara. I mean, he bought one, and there's other people, like a lot of companies have bought them. And a lot of maker companies, that is. And it's
But
totally...
I still think that is a mug's game. I still think owning and operating your own pick and place machine is a real mug's game.
Yeah, we'll mark this date down
Mike,
again.
Right, guys like Mike from Mike's Electric Stuff, like he's in the business where, like he's in the, he has his own consulting company, he designs products, and hi Mike, he's listening, I'm sure he's a regular listener.
Right.
And, and he does, runs of like a couple of hundred boards, and, he's, made the claim that, he's invested all the time and effort into getting this thing, and it does pay dividends for him, but he admits that that's a very narrow window where it's applicable.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think it all comes down to control too. I mean, like that's a really big knob that you have to decide where you're going to set it to when you're doing manufacture, right? Because we talked last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about like the circuit hub style of things where you kind of push it all off. That's very little control, and you're kind of trusting the process. And then there's super amounts of control where you own the entire process and you're doing it in house. And that they all have their own risks and their own benefits, but I think
for the one-man band, Midnight Engineer, to have it operate their own pick and place machine, no, it's almost certainly not going to be worth the effort. My new assembler, for example, their new machine, I think it's a Juki or something. It can take loose tape. Right, so you can order those DigiKey parts in the exact quantity you want, and they can just lay them down, and it'll handle those loose tapes. They don't have to re-reel them.
That's great, because that's an expense, a big expense sometimes if you're doing a full run.
Yeah, exactly. So, or they've got they've got one of those sort of manual pick and place machines that you put the parts in the rotatable tray, but and you've got the foot pedal and boom, boom, so they can prototype, like 10 boards really quickly. Just using that cut tape from DigiKey. And, it's just not worth it to do it yourself, really.
Well, I think you bring up a good point there. And this is, so I'm doing a talk coming up in Iowa in March, and it's going to be called
Cornfields of Iowa.
Yeah, that's right. Engineers Are Human Beings is the title of the talk. Yes, doing banjos, thank you. But that's like the real thing there. I think when you are the one-man band, it's all about you don't have control at that point. So then all you have left is your relationship, right? Because if you didn't know that assembler that you're working with, and if you don't know the people you're working with directly, that's where you really get screwed, because you can hand all this stuff off to someone in China,
somebody who's spammed you, someone from China who's spammed you, right?
Right. But then you have no relationship
every week.
there.
We are a one-hung happy low assembly code,
Yeah, it's always Bluetooth speakers for me. That's what I always get. They always want to make me Bluetooth speakers.
Right.
So hot right now. But yeah, so it's all about the relationships then, and even when you go over to at least from what I hear, even when you go over to China, a lot of that is building relationships with factories so that they want to work with you and stuff, But yeah, if you're doing that remotely and you're a one-man band, if you don't have the relationship, you're screwed every time.
Yeah, that's why I just go local, because I want to keep the jobs here in Australia, unlike our government.
Oh.
And and because if anything goes wrong, I can just drive there. Granted, my assembler's 2.5 hours drive away now, but hey, it's doable. I can drive up there and back in a day, if I really have to.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's nothing beats bums on the ground and having a personal relationship. Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, my assembler is a backer
of
my Kickstarter campaign.
That last 2 times ago, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Which is good. That's really good. I mean,
that's great. Exactly. A vested interest, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So you mentioned Mike. I have to mention this picture he posted on
What's
Twitter
this?
the other day. I'll send it to you real quick. Basically, I don't think he's doing this one in-house, but it's a picture. We got to have him back on soon, too, because we haven't talked to him in a while. And actually, a benefit of, me not having a proper job anymore, we can start to do weirder times as well, right? That was always a restriction.
Right, yeah, of course. Yes, it was a
things
restriction.
opened up when you quit. You got the ass from your job, but that opened up times for us. But then the same kind of thing will happen now, where we can kind of play more games to try and get more Europeans and that kind of time zone over there.
Send me the link.
Oh yeah, there you go. So basically, that's this huge. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but it's some kind of huge strip of LEDs, and it looks like a manufacturing nightmare. It's like one entire.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think it's like a meter long or something like that.
It's a meter long board, yeah. Yep.
Oh, it's a mess.
And it's curved like that.
Yeah.
It's curved. So obviously they're going together in some, like a big Stargate thing.
Yeah, like that project he
obviously, did. Yeah, there's like it's going to be like a 10-meter radius flashy LED thing. That's my guess from my first look at this
that
thing.
sounds right, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
Lots of power, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
awesome.
Crazy. So we'll post that picture too.
That's great. And he's had to put that on one big square panel, so he's got this big curved radius strips tabbed out on this big square panel. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yep.
Yep.
So what else we got this week? Anything else? We're kind of running down here.
Well, overtime. I'm busy.
You did
dude.
post the same chip of the week that I posted 2 weeks ago. So maybe we should talk about that real quick
I did.
before we.
Right. Okay.
It looks pretty cool.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
So it's from Analog Devices. It's this combo like analog front end and micro built in, basically like a Cortex M3. And then does it do? It doesn't have RF, I don't think.
No, but it's got programmable gain amps all built in. And it's got other DSP filtering built in, so you can filter the signal in real time.
Yep.
Like at the front end, it's designed for like medical, gadgets. The tricorder kind of.
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
Star
which is still
Trek
going
kind
on,
of,
I think, right? The tricorder
is it
project.
Right? Yeah, that's
X
right.
Prize.
Haven't heard about that for ages.
Yeah.
But that I just think it's a neat chip. So
yeah.
It's just a real system-on-chip integration for, it just kills that market. If you want to develop an application in the market, this chip is like the holy grail.
Well,
it's
and
fantastic.
you look at this too. I look at this as an analog designer, right? And it's like, how the hell do I compete with this? Just from a size standpoint, right? I mean, like
no, you can't. And it's got
like
built-in
size, power,
Delta
everything
Sigma
else.
converters. Yep. Yeah, and it's just
I mean, this is I don't even know what the package is on. It's probably some kind of not BGA, but probably
it's a
small.
BGA. Yeah, it's a little percent.
Oh,
BGA.
there it is. 8x8 BGA. Yeah. So I mean, it's in a BGA. It's all on. It's low power because it's on single silicon, that kind of thing. I think it's single silicon. It might be die bonded, but yeah, it's just got everything in there. So how do you compete with that when you're trying to put down? You're just like, I need to put down an AFE, I need to put down a micro, I need to put down a DSP all these other
to do
things.
real time.
Exactly.
Can't compete.
So this is the future, folks.
Yep.
Learn to code. That's on my to-do list.
And it'd be a piece of cake to print one of those on your chip printing machine.
Oh, low blow, man.
They should release it open source.
Yeah. Low blow. All right.
No, we've got to finish on this. We've got to mention it because it's topical. Bill Nye, the science guy, debated, I'm sorry, a batshit crazy Australian. No, not me.
Oh, he's Australian? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy was crazy.
Unfortunately. I won't even mention his name because he's such a dickhead. Anyway, his quote was, his plead, we need scientists. He went into the heart of the idiot Bible Belt at the Creation Museum in the US, where they actually, it's just nutters, right?
Right, and it's interesting too. So this whole debate, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, why did Bill Nye do this debate?" And really, it was like Bill Nye is using it as a commercial for why you should have science education. That was basically it. And there was this great quote from it. You were about to read it. Sorry.
Well, and one more thing I wanted to say there on why he did it is because, like, normally you'd ignore these batshit crazy creationists, right? But the fact is, this Creation Museum gets in like 400,000 people a year, most of them school kids, right?
Yeah,
and that's just no, right? That's just you've got to step in and do something about that. And so I can understand why, every, atheist and scientist out there has, never debated this guy because it's just pointless. But
right.
When it gets to that sort of level, you've got to step in and do something. And did a really good job. And not as good as I hoped he would do.
He wasn't as aggressive
really
as you had hoped. That's what you really hoped for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The Dave Jones
so
method.
Nice.
Yeah.
He was so
Bill Nye
exactly.
is a nice guy, right? I mean,
but he just didn't call out bullshit when it was clearly bullshit. He was too nice. But anyway, his quote was, "We need scientists and especially engineers for the future. Engineers use science to solve problems and make things," and that was his big plea.
Yep.
And he's bang on.
Definitely. Yeah.
And
yeah, politics aside, that's what we're here for. We're here to make more engineers or
get people interested. Yep.
Exactly. And I guess there is one thing you wanted to talk about, what might be coming out at some point in the future here, some kind of app. You were very excited about pre-show.
Right. Yes, because we just realized before the show that we never got around to doing our Libsyn amp hour app. And Chris just went, oh, why do we want to do that shit? And I went, well, I think it'd be cool. So after this, I'm going to jump on the Libsyn website and try and create our own Amp Hour app for Android.
That's right.
You said there was one for iPhones as well or something.
I think it's
might try and do that, but
through someone else, but yeah, it'll
right,
pull it in
but I can't test that. Anyway,
yeah.
But there, hopefully, by the time the show comes out, you will be able to download your own Amp Hour app for Android and use that to listen to the show. And you can rate it too. You can like give it a star rating or a thumbs up or something like that. And you think this is just a complete fail of an idea?
No,
don't you?
I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't do apps, so it's
right.
If it helps people listen and they enjoy it, and
right,
that's great. That's all that matters to me. So
all right. That's it. So I'll try and get that done after the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know how good it'll be, but hey, hopefully there will be an app available.
It's worth trying.
All right,
man. Well, I'll be starting Monday. I'm a free man. Well, I guess Friday afternoon. I'm a free man.
You're a free man.
Yeah.
You are. Catch you next time.
See ya.
The prisoner wishes to say a word.
And iTunes reviews.